Hi, everybody. Welcome to All Things Metaphysical podcast with Kellie and Gail. Today is February 15th, 2023. We stopped naming them episodes, so we're just telling you when we recorded them going
Yep.
forward.
Yep. Today
So,
is half price chocolate day.
yes. And as always, if you're watching live, please feel free to comment and we will do our best to answer them. I know that yesterday I came up with a really good idea to talk about for the show, and I, for the life of me, can't remember what it was.
Oops. It was something about handling energies or how you deal with energies, I think, maybe.
Yeah, probably something to do with that. I think one of the things, at least my interpretation of the energy, and you can correct me as I'm wrong. Sorry, my words might be really interesting tonight.
We're
I had to
bringing a
take
new
some,
language this evening.
I, I had to take some Benadryl earlier today, so it's going to be an interesting show. Good evening to whoever's watching us live. Um, I feel like January we were kind of in a holding pattern.
hmm
Kind of went into the first week or two of February. And now that we're getting towards the end of February, I feel like things are really like the word they keep using is heating up. It wasn't the word I wanted to use, but that was the word that they're using.
Right.
And like we're going to all have these major shifts the first couple weeks of March.
Yes. Yeah, I have heard that as well.
Hmm.
Um, it's interesting, though, among my clients, different people have experienced different types of energies.
Hmm.
I think it really depends on where people are along their spiritual journey.
Hmm.
Someone asked me earlier today, is this normal? They're kind of having some ascension symptoms. And, is this normal? Well, it is normal if you're having them. If you're not, well, then that's normal for you. I think we put too much emphasis on the overall, the one size fits all kind of mode of energy translation. And we need to do a better job of that because it is very individual, especially these days. It's very individual.
So last night when I was on my friend's podcast or my friend's live, they were picking cards, and I decided I wanted to join in. And so I refer to it as the metaphysical jukebox. So it felt like someone put $100 in it last night because every time someone got a card, I'm like, this is the song that goes with it. This is the song that goes with it. This is the song that goes with it. So while you were talking, they were singing Breakaway.
Someone asked major shifts in a good way. Yeah, predominantly. Again, it depends on where you are in your own journey.
Mhm.
But overall, I think we are going to have more good than bad, collectively speaking.
Yes, I think that we've already had the bad. I mean, I think about like the earthquake and all those people. And I don't know if we've done a show since then, but I've done a lot of podcasts and stuff and talked to friends about it. And the thing that fascinates me is where the earthquake was and the significance of it, because it's at the cradle of civilization.
hmm
So, what is that message that we need for humanity about kind of rising up and how do we want to I mean, literally everything came tumbling down. How are we going to rebuild ourselves?
Right. Well, that's kind of a message that's been coming in for a long time now. Wake up, come on. Um, I think these things are going to probably be more severe moving forward. It seems like, wake up or else kind of thing is
Mm.
the way it was explained to me. Um, I, love is the answer. Someone asked me earlier, well, right after the earthquakes happened, what can we do? People where I live have very little money. They can't even chip in a dollar. They're, trying to eat. What we can all do is send love, send peace, send calm. send healing energy. That's something that we all should be doing anyway. And for some reason, people just don't. Oh, well, I don't have money to give. So, those poor people. You can do something.
And I was thinking about this because, of course, like I said, I was talking about it last night. There was another mass shooting in the United States, and it's just like literally, I think everyone is in a traumatized state, just waiting for the next thing to happen because so much has come at us so quickly. Like, no one has caught their breath since 2020 when COVID hit. There's just been one thing after another, after another, after another. And I think that, everyone, you need to learn to kind of go within and settle yourself. It's never going to come from the outside. It's a
Right.
skill that we need to learn to develop and go within and really learn how to soothe ourselves. And I am going to be all over the place today.
Yay! Those are always the best shows.
Hopefully, you'll be able to follow wherever they're going to take me on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride today. So
That's fine.
that'll make sense though when you think about it. You
It
know,
does. Yeah.
huh, I haven't seen this in a while. They're showing me the grids above the earth and the energy that's coming in and how it's shifting and changing and what's gonna come up. Has any one of our viewers who's watching or even watching later, do you ever get this idea that you need to watch a certain movie again? Like there's a message in that movie, or you need to read a certain book, or you need to have like a session with someone and it seems like almost imperative and you can't ignore it? I just feel like that's kind of how messages are starting to come through now.
Yeah, the more sensitive you become, the
Mhm.
harsher those messages come through. It seems like, "Stop everything you're doing. Listen to me now." And, I that's really I'm hearing that from a lot of people that that's what it is. A person called me this morning wanting to schedule a reading immediately, and that's kind of what is happening is now, 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 now. We need to develop some patience, though. Patience, as anybody who's watched our show knows, is not my favorite thing. I
Oh,
don't,
mine either.
but we need to kind of work on that
Mhm.
um, because it can't always be now, now, now.
But it's fun when it is.
It is, yeah.
I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she has some of my artwork in her office, and somebody came in and really liked the artwork, and they started a conversation, and it's so funny because my mom had a very unusual middle name, and this was the lady's first name, although spelled differently. It's
Interesting.
also really starting to pay attention to when people are telling you things, because I immediately knew that was something from my mother that I needed to then pay attention to, and
Right.
that's how she chose to get that message to me. So I don't know, I'm apparently the Benadryl has just I feel like I'm just in this, which is weird, this because I'm always expanded anyway, but I, like, feel like it's tenfold because I'm tired, I have no defenses, and it's just like I feel like there's a funnel over my head, and it's just all getting downloaded.
Oh, there is.
So, for those of you watching us for the first time, usually I am able to stay on a subject for a while,
Usually.
usually, but it makes it more entertaining, so yeah, and it's funny because when I got dressed today, I wore a shirt that has clocks all over it and time. So I'm like, wonder what that's about.
Time is a non-existent thing, especially on Benadryl, huh?
Oh, I love the days I get to take Benadryl and then try and figure out what it was that caused the reaction. That's always fun. Mm.
But that's another thing that I'm noticing more and more people having allergic reactions to different things. We've been so bombarded by chemicals for
Mhm.
so long that people are really starting to have issues with it.
Mhm.
Um, That's a good question.
Yes, I actually used one this afternoon trying to
Yeah.
figure out what I was allergic to.
Yeah, they're asking about pendulums and using pendulums. One thing, and I've taught this too. Um, One thing is anything can be a pendulum.
Mhm.
You can use a pendant for a pendulum that works really well. Anything that has some weight to it that you can put on a string and it can balance itself can be used as a pendulum. Just make sure you ask what is yes and what is no before you start asking questions.
And I always clear the space and the item that I'm using and say only beings of love and light are allowed in while I'm using
Right.
my pendulum because any energy can come in. So you always just want to make sure that you're creating a space that's of love and light.
And that's with anything you're doing, even if you're, pulling cards or whatever you're using. Please don't use a spirit board though. Please don't. Just don't. But always make sure that you have, you know, invited only love and light in.
Mhm. So the answer to that question is yes, we have used pendulums in our practices.
Yeah. Did you
It's a
have a
really cool
particular
way.
question? Sorry.
Go ahead.
No. I just wondered if there was a particular reason for asking the question. Sometimes people have different experiences with pendulums.
So, viewer, if you'd like to give us more information about, why you were asking about pendulums, we would be happy to answer it.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
just got one and I haven't used it yet.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, really important to say show me yes and show me no so that you always know what it is when you use that pendulum. So,
Have you found where that changes?
yes. Every
So-
time I pick up my pendulum, I ask them to show me yes and show me no.
and it
And
changes. Yeah.
sometimes they love to just reverse it.
Yeah. Yeah. To me, that's more if I'm communicating with a different being, everyone has their personal preferences, even on the other side,
Mhm,
and that it will change. So make sure you ask every single time.
mhm. And then sometimes I'll also ask because sometimes it won't be yes or no. I'm like, so is this maybe? And
Uh-huh.
then they'll go yes.
Yeah.
So hours of entertainment.
Hmm. It really is actually.
So have you ever heard of Andara crystals?
Hmm.
What do you know about them?
Not a lot. I have a friend who's been talking about them lately,
Mhm.
um, but I don't know much about them at all. I've never worked with them or anything. Why
Have
have you?
No, one of my friends was talking about them today. So when people talk to me about crystals, I always think it's interesting, and then I always have to look them up to see what they mean. And somebody last night when I was doing the lives was talking about cola wood.
Hmm.
I have a lot of petrified wood, opalized
Yeah.
petrified wood, but I don't have any cola wood because I looked that up too. So I'm like I said, I always think it's interesting when names of crystals come in that I'm not that familiar with, because then I always wonder, well, the reason it coming in, do I need it or do I just need to learn about it?
I think it's interesting when different people who don't know each other
Mhm.
bring up the same thing too. And it's like, all right, I'm listening. What are we doing here? And that's happening again a lot lately with people that I know. It's like it's coming from every direction. And so very interesting stuff.
Mhm. They're singing "We Are the World, We Are the Children," so I got distracted there for a minute.
So what else are we talking about?
I don't know. What do you want to talk about?
I have no idea.
You have a lot of new and exciting projects going on.
I do. I can do a shameless promotion.
Do a shameless promotion.
I have revised a lot, quite a bit. It's almost actually a different book.
Mhm.
The first book that I wrote will be coming out March 15th, The Ides of March. It's called When on the Road to Enlightenment, Don't Forget to Take Out the Trash. Um, it's been sort of in the process of being revised for the last couple of years, but it was finally done. Got the final cover actually yesterday, last night,
Mhm.
and yeah, it's ready to go. March 15th, and then there is another one coming right behind that, and then another one coming right behind that. So I've been busy.
I remember when I was writing, I released all my books really close together.
Yeah, it's
And now I haven't written one for real. Well, that's, I think it was last year or the year before when I wrote Jesus and the Jewish Girl. But
It's interesting how I think if you are inclined to be a writer,
Mhm.
they will give you a bunch of packets of stuff to assemble when it's the time.
Mhm.
Uh, when I first released my first book, I knew it wasn't the time for it, but patience is not my favorite thing. So I did it anyway. And it did sell fairly well for what I was expecting. And it just people would tell me this is, you're ahead of time here. So now I think it's really time, really this time.
What do you want to talk about tonight?
Hmm. Um, One of the things that I've been getting a lot of questions about is, and we've talked about this before, but reading signs and messages and interpreting them. And the other aspect of that being messages tied in with what I call ascension symptoms, usually a headache.
Mhm.
Um, People have been just starting out, either meditating or working with tarot cards or whatever they're doing, and things happen, and
Mhm.
you hear things and you see things, and one person that I've worked with recently was the same song comes on the radio every single time I get in my car.
Mhm.
And to me, in my experience, that's the most common thing is
Mhm.
hearing songs or seeing the same advertisement over and over and over. And you have to kind of interpret it for yourself. What I told this particular client is, what does that song mean to you?
Mhm.
What is it saying that is resonating? And in this case, it was someone's favorite song who is now on the other side. Oh, well, hello, they're saying hi. And it was, really, do you think that's what it is? Well, what do you think it is? And that's part of the process, is learning what things mean to you,
Mhm.
because I can hear something and it will mean something entirely different to me. So when you ask people, hey, what do you think about this? I'm hearing this over and over. Bear in mind that they're not in your head. They don't know what it means to you. I've said this before. Sometimes a black horse is just a black horse,
Mhm.
because you can have symbolism and it can mean 19,000 other things to different people. But
Mhm.
it's your job to figure out what it means for you. And in this case, it was someone from the other side that was their favorite song. So then you have to go a little bit further. What are they trying to say? Are they just saying hello? Are they trying to give you a message? Are they trying to say something profound? And only you can tell that, for yourself.
Mhm.
It's really part of the process. It's part of growth, is to learn what these things mean for you.
Mhm.
Um, but I've heard that question a lot lately, interpreting messages. Um, when I, early on in my journey, when I was recognizing patterns and messages, and mine were usually coming from animals, but you can. interpret things even for yourself differently depending on when it happens. But I noticed that sometimes I would get a headache
Mhm.
and other times I would not get a headache. And that was one of those things. All right, what's the difference? So there are a million different questions to ask yourself
Mhm.
when you're going along the process. If all of a sudden you're getting a headache, backtrack. That was weird. Backtrack a little bit. What were you just doing? What were you just listening to? And see if it isn't a message coming in. I have a calendar on this wall, and the pages just went. Okay.
What kind of calendar is it?
This one is a frog calendar.
Huh,
My grandson sends me frog calendars. So,
interesting.
yeah, I'm a frog fan.
So, for those of you who are watching us live, again, please feel free to ask us questions. Also, please subscribe to, I'm going to promote us now. Please subscribe to our channel
Please.
and please share with your friends. This episode, other episodes, I'm all over the place in this episode. So, you know, it's just, and I feel like I'm in stream of consciousness today. And maybe that's where I needed to be. Maybe that's why it all happened today is I just needed to not think.
For people who are not familiar with that term,
Mhm.
what is stream of consciousness? Because people don't know.
Well,
What do you,
for me, stream of consciousness just means that I'm open to hearing and receiving messages and not getting nervous that like maybe I'll just have this knowing about something and I won't question myself, where is it coming from? I'll just let it all come through and then I'll think about it all afterwards, or I'll just sit and write it all down so that I don't lose any of it, and then I'll go back and reread it later to see what it means. So stream of consciousness, like if we were to use like terms in psychology, is about being grounded and being mindful and being in the present moment. It's just allowing whatever is going to happen without getting in your own way. That's
yeah,
how I would define it.
yeah. And when I'm talking to people, especially students, it's people resonate, at least that I've known,
Mhm,
more with the simplest term. And I usually say, you're in the flow
mhm,
or don't think about it, just feel it. Especially teaching meditation.
mhm.
That is the biggest obstacle. No, you're not floating over there. You need to come back here, be centered, be grounded. We're not, we're not trying to remote view. And I don't know why people associate that with meditation. I've had so many people ask me, isn't that remote? No, it's not. It can be, but no,
Well,
it's not.
remote viewing would be you're going in the meditative state to look at someone else versus
Right,
um, meditation is just allowing things to come to you. It's not doing anything.
right,
It's just being.
right. Yeah, I don't know why people associate that, but I've had a lot of that lately.
Mhm.
Um, but we all collectively need to do more of just being. I think we're too stressed.
Mhm.
We're too, I was listening to someone the other day talk about how robots are going to take over the world. It's going to be all the machines. It's going to be, and I'm like, no, this isn't, no. So there's a lot of that going on, though. There's a lot of people.
You mean we're not gonna all be assimilated like the Borg in Star Trek?
But I think that's the negativity that's on the planet right now. It's putting ideas in people's head to be fearful and not good.
We've talked about this before, but they want me to explain it again. So when you're on your cell phone, you're
Sorry.
talking on your cell phone. The signal gets beamed to space and then gets beamed to someone else's cell phone, through towers and things like that. So think about how many people scream and yell on their cell phones, and then all of that is bouncing back to us on the planet.
Right.
So there's a question, have you heard anything about the Healy device? I
Mm-mm.
think that's how you pronounce it. I have,
Not something I'm familiar with. Mm-mm.
but if you want to give us more information about it, we could probably tap into it and see what comes up. But yeah, I think so much of what we need to do is to just be and
Yeah.
allow. I know that when I'm really stressed, they give me the 3 Bs, that so be, breathe, and believe.
Yeah.
So, because a lot of us have lost faith, we've lost hope. A lot of people are still in fear, especially, with all of these like shootings going on. Pretty soon people are just going to be afraid to go out of their house. So, it's going to get interesting before it gets better.
I think a lot of humanity is in for a really rude awakening because things are shifting, things are changing. And really, and I keep hearing this word over and over again, it's all about love. It's all about loving each other and supporting each other and being there for each other. And humanity has lost that. And it's all about the money and it's all about the success and it's all about the status now. And that's not what it's supposed to be about. We've lost touch with ourselves as people. And that's really scary. I think that's where a lot of the fear comes from. Because if you're not connected to yourself and you're not grounded and you're not here now, then there's an awful lot to be afraid of.
So, should we get a little controversial?
Sure. Why not?
Why not? Um, it's also about, and I don't want to belabor this point, but it's also about humanity moving forward in a consciousness and getting out of the stuck patterns of negativity and control that have kept us where we are
Yep.
so that we haven't moved forward. So again, I think it's about really what intention do you want to put out into the world?
Yeah.
Like if we were on a holodeck from Star Trek, what would you want to create? Because we've created what is now. What would we like to
Right.
create going forward?
Right. I think there's too many people putting too much negativity out
Mhm.
there. And that's the bottom line is people are putting too much fear and hate and negativity out there.
Well, the new wave of medicine that they showed me 20 years ago was that it was all going to be done with sound, vibration, and frequency. And they showed me all different kinds of devices to develop to do that. And there are lots of those. The Healy device is one of those devices. So I was just reading the comment.
Hmm.
So, yes, that is the way that we're going because really everything is about sound, frequency, and vibration and how everything comes together and forms and what I really am on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I'm listening to myself talk going, wow, this is really interesting that I'm actually putting all this out there on a podcast. And you're just sitting there laughing.
So this is very entertaining for me.
So yes, that is the wave of the future.
Yeah, yeah. It's really we really need to be putting out more positive things though. The entities that I work with are all about it has to come from humanity. Nobody's going to swoop in and save us. They may come in and destroy us, but they're not going to come in and save us. And it has to be, we have to act as one, and we don't. We're very divided on so many things.
Okay, so we're going down a okay, here it goes. So
Okay.
they're showing me the scene from Elf where your Santa sleigh is trying to take off again, and there's not enough Christmas cheer because the engine has failed. So
Yeah.
they have to build up enough energy of Christmas cheer for the sleigh to fly. But so that was one example that they just showed me. The second example is, and this is a difficult one, is that humanity comes together when there's terrible things that happen. When we think about when tragic events happen, what's the first thing people do? They bring flowers, they congregate, they
Yeah,
send prayers, there's intention, and it lifts everything up. So, like, if something hasn't happened, it's not something we're all in the practice of just doing every day. But what an amazing world it would be if all of us, even if it was 15 minutes a day, put that same kind of intention and prayer out into the world.
right. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
feel
And
very preachy tonight. It's very weird.
that's good. Go with it.
So, yeah, it's just, I'm gonna say it's the Benadryl. So,
I'm going to say it's not the Benadryl, but that's
so basically, how do we get out of our own ways? Get out of our own way, not ways. How do we get out of our own way?
you have to stop. We collectively have to stop focusing on the negative,
Mhm,
focusing on what's different between every one of us. We're all different, but yet we're very divided.
mhm,
Whatever is dividing us, we have to stop looking at that for a minute and just look at each other's hearts. We are really, really destroying ourselves. And most people don't even realize it. But you think about, I just looked at a medical report locally and it was pretty dismal. We're all dying in this county I live in. But they're talking about high blood pressure, heart disease, all of these things that, yeah, heredity plays into it, sure. But still, there are things we're doing to ourselves. When you're getting worked up over hating something or
mhm.
being divided or what's wrong, and you're focusing on that, you really do tremendous damage to your own body. And people have just blown that off for years. Western medicine will tell you, oh, no, that's just a little bit of it. No, that's the majority of it, truly. And we need to stop that. And that's the
Because
first place we need to start.
when you think about medical illness, and I don't know how people are going to take this, it starts in the energetic field before it ever goes into the physical body. So, depending on what you're doing, thinking, and saying, impacts what happens with that energy that's in your field and how it's going to get transmuted through your body.
Yeah. And if you are empathic or even slightly sensitive, you multiply that by whatever number you want to multiply it by because it really starts feeding on itself.
Mhm.
And it's really something we need to address. And then I just heard in my head, now people are going to be afraid of that. No, stop with being afraid of it. Just stop that. It's really not easy to fix, but the concept is very simple. You get back what you put out. And if you're putting out hate and fear and all of that stuff, that's what you're feeding yourself.
Mhm.
A healthy diet isn't just what you eat,
Mhm.
it's the other stuff around you.
What is it? Negative energy attracts negative energy, and positive energy attracts positive energy. You're not going to attract positive energy putting out negative energy,
Right, right. Yeah,
or something to that effect.
right.
Yeah. So, is there anything else you would like to cover today?
I don't know what it will be. This is a weird day. Very strange show, but that's okay.
I think I played a small part in that.
Nah, it's all right.
So, all
But there's
right.
a lot of important stuff that we've talked about. I hope somebody gets it and really grasps the concept because it's an important one.
So, really, it sounds like if we were to wrap everything up, it's really about that we're all more powerful than we think we are. And it's learning how to harness that to help ourselves instead of hurt ourselves.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
All right. With that, we are going to call this one a show,
Yep.
and we will be back in 2 weeks or sooner. And we hope to see some of you then. Take care, everybody. Have a good night.
Bye.